just to get started, I'm going to give you a brief overview there of iplanit and how it's structured. So that central circle that we see, core iplanit, the lighter blue circles, is what comes with every iplanit install. Every iplanit product has these facilities with a number of reports, notes, plans, outcomes. So there's a functionality around all of them. And then the darker circles around the outside, these are the modules that you can add on, kind of the pick and mix side of what's useful to you, what's relevant to how you operate. These are incident management, referrals, needs assessment, calendar, funding, staff qualifications. So usually when people start to implement iplanit into the organization, you kind of pick some of these that are useful and then begin to add to iplanit as they go through their journey with us. We're not going to cover everything there today. It's a very specific webinar, but we do lots of webinars throughout the year, and we'll cover them off throughout the year, but also you can ask for a personal demonstration online. We can go through them in a lot more detail. Okay, so outcomes from an organization's perspective. So we're looking at outcomes, but we're looking at this at a higher level. So it's not really, we're not in terms of person-centered planning side of things or on the support worker level. We're looking at things from an organization's perspective. So lots of business speak in this webinar, lots of strategy side of things. So every organization is processes, whether they produce a product or offer a service, they have three core strategies. The first one being quality assurance, the second being quality control, two very different things, and then thirdly, impact and evidence assessment, measuring what they've done and what impact that has had. Now for today's short presentation, we're going to look at that in the context of promoting and maintaining quality throughout the life of an outcome. So if we change those categories, well, not change the categories, but add a bit more detail there, what does that mean for us in social care delivery and support to people? Okay, so if we look at quality assurance, that's really inputs, the planning side of things, ensuring outcomes are to a standard that will lead to personal and provider success, or good planning. We all want to achieve good planning. And then there's the service delivery side, the quality control, as we mentioned previously, ensuring outcomes are being actioned by the right people at the right time. This is the getting it done side of things. Quality assurance is writing good quality plans. Quality control is making sure those plans are executed. And then lastly, measuring the impact of all of that work, the good plan and the executing the good plan. Writing good outcomes, executing good outcomes. That is the measuring the impact, the outputs, the metrics and evidence. And that's where Lisa Jane's demo is mostly going to focus on in that last section, but it'd be a bit unusual just to talk about that without really giving it the context of the two broad categories. Now, I'm not saying every organization works like that or is aware of operating within those sections, but I think these are good, broad sections to put our work under just for the purpose of this talk. Okay, so let's talk about quality assurance. What is quality assurance for an outcome? Some of this is really simple, straightforward stuff, but it just really helps us understand how iplanit fits in and offers usefulness to the provider. So quality assurance is, like we mentioned, checking the quality of outcomes, ensuring they can lead to good support, improved lives, and provider success. You know, an outcome should be able to cover all of them. It's an opportunity to ensure outcomes are covering essential areas of support in life, future KPI considerations. So each provider really differentiates itself on its values and the things it wants to achieve and the way it wants to support people, and they have their own key performance indicators in whatever format they may be, and they tend to feed into the outcomes for the person or categorize it or make sure that area of life is covered in some way for outcomes. So it's a good opportunity. Making sure that that's happening is a good quality assurance. A good outcome that co-produces a call to action from all parties, something everybody can get engaged in. We can check. We want to check that the outcomes are something that the right people can get engaged with. And again, they can sharpen the focus of person-centered planning. I've been a person-centered planner for a number of years, and being able to draw out very specific outcomes from person-centered planning really can give the plan a lot more meaning. Okay, so that's quality assurance when I'm checking that those things that happen. So how does iplanit do that, or how does it help with that? Well, an overarching theme that you're going to find with iPlanets is that it provides instant access to all outcomes for efficient and easy managerial assessments. Moving from paper to an online, an effective online solution really helps with the efficiency of you checking quality. If you can log on, access somebody's plan, access somebody's outcomes, either on an individual basis or on an aggregate basis, then you can really start to have an effect on the quality of that plan and that outcome setting. For example, we can look at here on an individual level, we can look at Jane Brown's outcomes and plans, or that we could look at of her outcomes and make sure, check the quality of the outcomes, but make sure that there is a date that they need to be done by, make sure they're assigned to somebody. You can access plans on an individual, but also on an aggregate level, and make sure, so if you see these red X's, these are sections of the plan that aren't filled in. You can go in and check that that's happened, so those plans are going to be filled in, check the quality of those plans, make sure the planning side of things and the outcome setting is going well. Also, it offers, iPlans offers, a lot of customers are taking this up now, a needs assessment planner, ensuring that the outcomes and plan address all supporting needs. So this is an example of one. This is a needs assessment where before a plan is written, we go through a needs assessment with the person supporting. And if you wear these questions here, these blue questions on the left, specific to your organization, and this is just an example here, strongly agree, disagree, so on. You can have them as a yes, no, or graded 1 to 5, and really pick out what the support needs are for somebody and what outcomes can be addressed. What that does is that makes sure that the plans and the outcomes are to a quality where nothing is missed. And it gives transparency to all parties, including family and stakeholders of support. Okay, so that's a really quick overview of what we mean by quality assurance, being able to check everything in a very efficient and easy manner. So I'm going to look at the service delivery side, the quality control, ensuring outcomes are being actioned by people, by the right people at the right time. So what is outcome quality control? Firstly, in any kind of leadership situation, you want to be celebrating successes. So celebrating outcome action, targeting outcome in action. It's very, very simple. So making sure things are getting done. Being able, and that is a very easy thing to say, very difficult thing to execute, especially with paper planner or paper outcomes where things are stored into folders, and you might have different versions in different places, or you might have to travel in a managerial role, you might have to travel to people's homes to be able to look at what outcomes are being set for those people, or a data collection can take weeks or months to get an accurate organizational picture. So being able to present outcomes to staff and people supporting them, that keeps them current and relevant, is really important. Knowing who is doing what and when, and how that went, and what did we learn, and therefore what should we do next. Being able to do that quickly. So we're coming back to that theme of efficiency. Using current up-to-date outcomes and supervision, team meetings and service reviews. We want quality, to control the quality of the work being done, we need people's plans and their outcomes to be a thread, a constant thread, not something that we should say, right, it's been 6 months, let's have a look at the outcomes and see where we're up to. We want the person's plan and their outcomes to be the pillars of quality control, to be able to reference back to them very easily, very quickly, make sure there's accountability there. Outcome quality control is an efficient and accurate process to know what is happening right now to the outcomes for people's support delivery across numerous locations. There's no lag, it's going to take us months to get an organizational picture of what's going on. Quality control for an organization is being able to see what's going on right now. So again, how does iPlanit help with that? Well, it monitors, tracks and records the success and learning from outcomes by person, service, area and organisation. So this is on the right there, you can see just a little snippets of iPlanit, and it's showing that for this particular support worker or manager, they can see all the people on the left there and they can see all of their outcomes, what's happening with that. Or you could look at that from an organisational point of view. You can get graphs to say this is how this area is performing and so on. Notes, recording and centralizing notes, and actions and staff interaction with the outcome plan. There's a place there to learn, so whether it could be just very, very simple things like the communication book, or putting it online so that people can see it, or as outcomes are being tracked throughout the year, staff being able to go in and give input to that and say, this is happening, that's happening, we learned this, let's change that. Again, those notes you can organize those notes into outcome and action plan, or the person-centered plan notes, or contact notes, or there's a service user incident notes there as well. We have a much more sophisticated version of that. This is just on a notes basis. But somewhere to put all of that learning so that the information is shared across the team, is shared across the service, the area, and ultimately the organization. And it creates an accountable environment. If everything is tracked, every outcome is set to a person, a staff member who has a manager, who has an area manager, who has the bigger organizational side of things, we can drill down into individual accountability or organizational accountability, or whether it be that plans have been written, whether the outcomes have been written. And again, earlier on we talked about quality assurance. We can check that the quality of those plans, or assure that the quality of those plans and outcomes are great, and then check now that they're being done. So there's lots of functionality around that, an accountable environment, which I think is really, really important in today's the needs of a provider to be transparent and have that accountability. Again, in terms of accountability, there are just on an individual basis, this maybe not necessarily looking at the organization, but looking on an individual basis, you can task out really, really simple things, whether it's medication delivery, whether it is tasks that need to be done in terms of personal care or anything like that. I think that you can develop that accountable environment by assigning tasks to support workers and them having to go and say, yep, we did that, or no, we didn't, and so on, which can really help in certain inspections. Okay, so that was very quick. That was quality assurance and quality control. And lastly, which is what Lisa Jane is going to take up after we talk about that, is measuring the impact, sharing the success and learning. So if we just quickly, some quality assurance was making sure that we're able to check that the outcomes being set to a certain quality and are hitting what we need and what the person needs. And quality control is making sure those things are being done. And then lastly, measuring impact is, right, those things have or haven't been done. What have we learned? How can we share this with the right people? So measuring impact is being able to have a direct link with support delivery and impact measurements on an individual, and again, aggregate that to an organizational level. Coming back to that same theme of being convenient and accessible, non-time consuming reports. I've worked for providers where their best intentions to measure the impact of their outcomes and key performance indicators has taken over a month to 6 weeks to get all of that information in. And we wonder about how much out of date is that already by the time we've got hold of that, by the time we've brought all that together, and the amount of time and labour it's taken to do that. So it's not convenient on paper on an organisational level. Being able to easily demonstrate and link success against performance indicators like CQC, quality, supporting people, so on. Being able to inform leadership about organisational trends, whether by area, needs, success or learning, what's working, what's not working. Statistical analysis, individual or aggregate again. Efficient and powerful recording tools to demonstrate value for money. If all of the information is going into this online system, then the power of the reporting from that becomes really evident and useful. It can inform strategy when you're talking to members of the board or however your provider is governed. Being able to show the marketing promise, and I think this is really important, being able to show the marketing promise of good scores is being delivered. We said we can do this, here is the evidence to show that we did it, and it's up to date as of today. Again, how is iplanit helping measure impact? And Lisa Jane is going to go into a bit more detail about that relationship with commissioners and other stakeholders. So detailed KPI performance data linked to individuals' outcomes, detailed support and person-centered planning reporting, has needs assessment data. So these are some of the reports that we'll see. Lisa Jane's going to touch on some of these. These reports can be individual, like I've said before, individual, by service, by area, by support type, or by whole organisation. Again, demonstrating against the KPIs, different as the CQC supports to make choices. You should be able to access this as of today, and you see that that's accurate, and be able to drill down in that and see what is the outcomes that are building up that evidence. And here's another screen, which is probably where Lisa Jane's going to focus on, the CQC report, sorry, the KPI report, and how that works. And also the value for money. This is an extra module, but you can see, like, here's how the funding works, and then work backwards into how to demonstrate value for money against those budgets. And exporting numerous reports, which into Excel, so that's not all held on iplanit. You can pull it out and put that into different formats. So those are the three areas that we think are really important, and broad categories, so not necessarily the way you overtly work, but you can see that as we're going to start looking at the power of reporting from iplanit, there's a context there that you have good well-written outcomes, well-managed outcomes being executed, and the ability to get all of that information and demonstrate that to the relevant parties. Now, if you start that process, or you're in that process, or iplanit gives you more control over that process, then you start to end up in a loop where your metrics and evidence, your outputs, start to feed into the planning side of things. So more relevant key performance indicators, more relevant outcomes being written, raises the standards as well as you get into that loop. And I think that's where iplanit really becomes a tool with organizational progress. Okay, so that's just a quick slide there, summarizing very quickly what we talked about. We looked at quality assurance, setting up the quality outcomes, quality control, making sure those things were done, and the impact and evidence, the outputs, getting the reports, being able to look at your organization in a very up-to-date, very convenient way, multiple reports that really feed in from direct support delivery. That is the foundation of what we do, and that should really be able to feed directly into reports. There's a link both ways, from reports down to the outcomes, and outcomes building up the reports.